once again it's on. So I just want to, we had a good episode last time, uh, talking about your writing process. I got some new questions for you that I'm sure everybody want to know too. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah. Like now that you have some of the best people in the criminal justice movement in your corner, and Michael Wiseman as lead counsel, do you still visit that law library like you used to?
You know, I spent 20 years in that law library, so I got a personal connection with the law library. Um, I go week in, week out,
Right.
and I've been doing that shit for all of my 20s, all of my 30s, and into my 40s, and I think I'm gonna always want to, follow the, see what's the newest case law coming down, what's the newest constitutional rulings, that applies to the time bar, stuff like that, just in case somebody else needs some information, and I might be able to help them with it.
Right. You just remain diligent.
Absolutely.
Right. Stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Somerset. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
You wanna give people as a insight into, a glimpse into the journey as a pro se litigant. How did this come about? You know what I mean? Like having to represent yourself before you got the team you have now.
It was out of hopelessness, hopefulness, desperation,
Right.
necessity.
Right.
The first lawyer I was ever assigned on post-conviction, he never amended my pro se petition. For the listeners who don't know what pro se means, pro se is you represent yourself. That is what pro se means. You are your own attorney. You represent yourself. You can't afford counsel, or you decided to move forward without counsel.
Right.
So I filed my first PCRA the fall of 2000, like September 2000. So what's that, like 24 years ago, 23 and a half years ago?
Yeah.
And I had cited some ineffective assistance of counsel claims, a constitutional violation, and the courts immediately assigned me an attorney by the name of Silver.
Mm-hmm.
And when the courts assign you an attorney, they're supposed to review your record, review the amended petition, review the petition you submitted on your own as a pro se litigant, and then amend that petition. And that didn't happen in my case. This guy never reviewed the record. He never amended my petition. And the court decided to proceed based on a filing by a semi-illiterate 22-year-old, that being myself.
Right.
And he held the hearing based on that and dismissed it in open court.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's right.
It was at that moment, that I realized this shit is real. I got back upstate.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2001. I say, yo, shit is real. Like, I was out of money. A lot of my friends was no longer available to me.
Right.
And a couple real ones that was around, that continued to stay around and stick around and believed in my innocence, they couldn't do nothing for me. So I had to get in that law library and start learning this stuff on my own, especially post-conviction law, so that I could move forward on. Because this lawyer abandoned me. Attorney Silver abandoned me.
That's crazy.
Like, I never heard from him again. He never filed an appeal. He never, checked on me.
Yeah.
And he abandoned me. But he had his own things he was dealing with.
Right.
And sobriety was one of the things that he dealt with.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. That was unfortunate for you, right? You know,
Absolutely.
yeah. So he never like put in his letter of withdrawal or nothing like that. He just that was it. Once the
He never said nothing. He, I had to contact the disciplinary board and alert them to what was going on, and they ended up. He admitted that he abandoned me,
oh, okay,
and I had to file a new PCRA, and I won that one.
right,
They found him ineffective first say.
right,
And assigned me another attorney. But by then, I was committed to this daunting task of trying to learn the law so that this could never happen to me again.
right.
The abandonment.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, yeah, I mean, it was a good thing, right? Everything for every action is an equal and opposite reaction, and that sets you on a path to saying, I gotta learn this like I'm a lawyer myself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Right.
I dropped out of school in the 8th grade. I was
Right.
reading on a 4th, 5th grade level. I was pretty much, I couldn't read when I came to jail. So the first thing, one of the things I had to do was I started reading books. I had to get my comprehension up.
Right.
Once I learned how to comprehend, because, they wasn't teaching us nothing in the public schools in the Bronx and Harlem in the 80s. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I had to get my comprehension up. Once I got that up, I was able to read cases and stuff like that. It was hard at first, You're trying to find cases that's similar to yours. You're looking for all the winners. You're trying to stay away from the losers. But that's not what law is about. Law is really about language and holdings. How you reach this conclusion. Constitutional rights versus constitutional violations.
Right.
A lot of that stuff fall under the 6th Amendment, the 14th Amendment. And once I was able to get that stuff down packed, it took years, but it was worth it.
Right.
No one could get over on me, and I took that. I carry it with me to this day.
Yeah, that's crazy. Attorneys abandoning you. You couldn't even get. It was a time when you couldn't even get a lawyer or activist to even reply to a letter. Remember it?
Yeah, man. Like, I write lawyers, they don't write back. Put the number on your list, try to call them, they don't pick up. I wrote many activists over the years, maintaining my innocence and voicing my disgruntlement with, how I was handled. And it was a long road without any help.
Right.
But, things change, man. You never know when your number going to play.
For
I
sure.
went from not being able to get a lawyer to write back to sitting with some of the top lawyers in the state, and I'm grateful for that. That's perseverance, resilience.
For sure. Tell them about, like in January about 2023 when you had to get back behind that desk and file a third motion. Well, 3 motions, I should say. On
man,
your own.
Yo. Oh, man, January 2020, I'm chilling. I'm in the process of, locking my mind in to what it's going to be like to get exonerated. And that had been the talk for 3 years, 2-3 years in my life. That, you're going to be exonerated. You're innocent.
Right.
And I think they called me over for legal mail.
Right.
And it's a letter from the courts telling me I got 20 days to respond, to show cause, or to explain to them why I should be able to avoid the time bar. So I'm like, what the F is going on? Like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm on this phone trying to get a hold of these pro bono attorneys that was representing me. Can't get a hold of nobody. So I pull out Big Bertha. Big Bertha's my typewriter. I had this typewriter for 20 years. I call her Big Bertha, man. Right. She reliable. She loved me. I love her.
Right.
And I pulled out the typewriter and
you have 1 minute left.
I prepared to file these motions that needed to be filed that the attorneys didn't file for me. And it felt like I was a kid again,
Right.
being abandoned. And I did what I had to do. I told the court that a Brady violation was committed,
For sure.
that I fall underneath the government interference exception to the time bar,
Right.
that this information was withheld from me for almost 30 years, and I put that stuff in the mail. I filed, that was my response to their intent to deny my PCRA.
Right.
The second motion was a request to amend the petition to file the proper paperwork, and the third motion that I had to file was the 5505 motion to rescind any decisions that was going to be made. The third motion was the 5505 motion. It was asking the court to rescind an order if an order was made, just in case my filings didn't reach the courthouse or the judge in time. So those were the three motions I had to stay up and file and break night, which is something I've done on numerous occasions, whether writing a novel or representing myself.
Right.
But what I had to get before the court before those 20 days elapsed, I had the alleged Brady violation that resulted from the district attorney's office's failure to ever advise me that the hotel clerk who actually checked me in had twice been interviewed by law enforcement prior to my trial.
Right.
No reports or notes from these interviews were ever provided to the attorney who represented me in 1999, even though we requested it.
It's crazy.
This clerk, which we talk about in the Jason Flom interview on Wrongful Conviction podcast, this clerk was a critical witness in my case that was never called. I didn't even know she existed or that they had spoken to her. But my volunteer investigator, Kitty Haley, had tracked her down and interviewed her, and she basically, gave us the goods. Look, man, I was interviewed. I gave favorable evidence, as it pertains to this case, and I'm disturbed to find out all these years later that stuff didn't make it into the court.
Right.
If she wanted to testify. The timing of when I checked into that motel is critical.
Right. And that's rare, too. Okay.
No, go ahead, say what you wanted to say, bro.
No, I'm saying that's rare. That a witness wants to testify. Usually, like
she was an objective witness. She was dragged into this. She didn't actually be part of this.
Right.
So of course she wanted to see whichever way justice goes. She wanted. I could imagine, as a citizen of this country, and just doing her job, she wanted whichever way justice goes. She wants justice to be done.
Right. As you should. Right.
The reason this shit was so critical because the only incriminating witness against me at trial testified that we had a conspiracy at that hotel before.
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Somerset. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
Say that again.
Before the only incriminating witness against me at my trial testified that there was a conspiratorial meeting at that hotel. Today we know it wasn't.
Right.
While I was on trial, I couldn't prove that didn't happen. I was a young black kid from the Bronx going up against some seasoned, prosecutors. And, they was great at what they was doing, and I didn't have a good attorney. But one of the greatest things that came out of the trial is that the judge instructed the jury. He told the jury that if I wasn't at the motel, then obviously I couldn't be a part of this conspiracy.
Right.
So that was critical.
For sure.
if what this clerk had to say at the time of my trial, and what she had said to my investigator, Kitty Haley, what she said makes this a material fact,
right?
Which falls underneath, my constitutional right to have all favorable evidence turned over to me prior to trial, and even after the conviction. So, by the grace of God, after decades of trying to locate this clerk, we were finally able to in 2021. And the attorneys just didn't file the proper paperwork.
Oh, man.
So I ended up having to do it myself.
Once told me that you heard a lawyer said, well, I heard him say it myself, that you write better than...
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, right.
I know where you're going with this.
You know what I mean? Like, I heard that, you write better than a lot of
State
lawyers
Correctional
that this lawyer
Institution,
has came across.
Somerset. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
That you put
I believe what he said was that I write better than some lawyers and I interpret the law better than some attorneys.
Right.
I think that's where you're going with it. Yeah, absolutely, man. That was a humbling experience for me. That was a humbling moment for me. Because like I said, man, me learning the law, this shit was out of desperation. This was out of hopefulness and hopelessness. Like, if I don't do it, who gonna do it? I was in jail at times with 5 soups in my locker, 10 soups in my locker. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I couldn't even call out the jail. Calls was $20 to New York. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I definitely had to raise the bar and step it up another level if I was going to ever prove my innocence or get to this point that we at right now where, we got some of the best people, pulling me in the right direction.
Right. That's crazy. That you would say, you're a high school dropout. You didn't really know how to read it.
I never went to high school, bro.
Oh, right. Junior high school dropout, right.
But education is important to me, man. It was one of the things that kept me going in prison, man. That was my lifesaver. That was my life jacket was for, with a life sentence, that was my life jacket. Education. I stayed in the education building, the law library, because I always, knew that, I would be free one day, and I definitely wanted to leave here a better person.
Right.
Than I was when I came in.
Right. This journey is definitely made you a better person. Even though
absolutely
it's been treacherous and a lot of pitfalls and sorrow along the way. But I think it's definitely sharpened you. It made you a better person. Just for what you've been through, man.
Iron sharpens iron, man.
Yeah.
One of the guys I spent a lot of time in the law libraries with was Lorenzo Johnson.
Right.
Cat, a.k.a. Lozo, a.k.a. Mr. Lozo Couture. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
A bunch of other guys, and we battled each other, man, to learn the statutes, the consolidated statutes, the exceptions to the time bar.
Right.
And, like I was saying earlier in this episode, one of the exceptions to the time bar is government interference. When you allege that, you're saying that I couldn't bring this to the court's attention. I couldn't litigate this.
Right.
Because the government prevented me from doing it.
Right.
They knew what I didn't know. So, yeah, man, like, I'm grateful, man, for comprehension and patience, too, man. Patience matters for growth. Because it allowed for me to digest information, be able to use it effectively.
For sure.
Thank y'all for listening.
Right.
Tuning in.
Till next time, for sure. See you.
Till next time, for sure. Peace. Tell a friend to subscribe, too.
For sure. Like, comment, subscribe, all that.